This is part 4 of an ongoing miniseries, so please watch the 3 other parts before continuing. If not, thanks for watching and subscribe. Soon after the safe rooms were sealed, the restaurant opened and the animatronics were fixed. Well, minus Foxy. He was deemed out of order due to not having enough parts and no Afton or Henry to create new ones. The restaurant wasn't doing too hot and couldn't afford to hire a lot of employees, which is why the faithful phone guy who has been with the company for many years took on the position of night guard. He did well, but eventually they got him too, and the job was open. Luckily, a new guy was lined up, and even better, Fazbear was loose on background checks. Michael Afton took the job using his mother's maiden name, Schmidt. Mike Schmidt had a good ring to it. Mike was back again, looking for any traces of his father, his sister, or the rest of the rogue fun times. What he found was similar to his first job back in 1987. The original four were ruthless. Mike heard the phone guy's tragic end and saw hallucinations of crying children and "It's me." But Mike's nightmares had returned, reliving his experience in the gas chambers, but with things from the real world merged into it. Phone guy's calls, the flowers and IVs of his brother's hospital bed, and someone who wasn't there before, a nightmare Freddy, his glowing red eyes narrowing down on him. Unknown to Mike, Evan was trying to reach out to him. Evan knew his brother had changed. The "It's me" was Evan trying to reach out to his brother, but Evan wasn't alone. Cassidy wasn't far behind, and a shadow nightmare would switch out with Fredbear. In the real world, Mike would spend his nights surviving and writing down anything he could in his logbook. That's when something shocked him. Someone, no, two people were talking in his book. Evan and Cassidy were communicating through the book. Cassidy was trying something, asking Evan questions about his past. Mike tried to communicate as well, but he got very little from the spirits. Cassidy was in no mood to talk now. Mike still had fun with the book. Even after being brutally murdered, Mike kept his sense of humor. Night after night, Mike knew this was a dead end. Eventually being fired for the same reason as last time, odor and tampering with the animatronics. Mike left not realizing how close he was to his father, and soon enough the restaurant was closed for good. 30 years would go by, but Mike had no luck. How the hell did his father vanish like that? He fell off the face of the earth. Meanwhile, Ennard roamed the sewers, but things weren't all great for the amalgamation. The other three wanted Afton's head on a plank, vengefully lurking in the shadows, waiting for the chance to strike. But Baby, now put back together, remembered who she was. She was Daddy's little girl. She didn't want him dead, she wanted to help him, leading to a divide between Baby and Ennard. That wasn't the only thing happening though. While Mike and Ennard searched for William, an old player made his return, and Charlie was still looking, trying to give their kids their happiest day. Eventually it happened though. After 30 long years, in 2023, Fazbear's Fright was open. Fazbear was in desperate need of cash and gave the rights to this dinky little haunted house experience. Mike had to take this lead. It was the best chance he got to help the souls, maybe even find his father. Mike applied and got the job immediately. Working late hours at this place was not what people would call a good time, and frankly, it wasn't. Mike spent a week basically sleeping on the job and trying to find anything, but he couldn't. Yeah, they had masks and such, but a lot of that stuff was cosplay junk. Mike was thinking of quitting, but the phone dude convinced him with a promise of a fruitful scavenging mission soon. Mike decided to be patient, and his patience was rewarded. The next week, the phone dude was ecstatic. They found one, a real one. Mike looked on in horror as the spring bunny from his past was roaming down the hall, disgustingly green and molded with time. There was no mistaking it. That was his father. Springtrap wasn't the only problem for Mike though, as phantoms from Mike's past would leap out at him. He knew none of them were real. All he had to do was stop his father, but it still shook him. It wasn't just father and son though, as the puppet made her entrance as well, setting up the pieces for something better, a Hail Mary plan. After 5 nights, Mike set the faulty wiring into a trap and burnt down the building, barely escaping, but he wasn't the only one. It was a good attempt, but Springtrap lived. William always came back, escaping the rubble not flawlessly, but still intact. Someone else was keeping tabs on this place in Mike's plan though. Henry had returned, seeing what has happened in his absence, and coming to terms with what has become of his daughter. He set out to end this tragedy once and for all. After the events of the burning of Fazbear Fright and the divorce of Baby and the rest of the fun times, repairs were needed, and the best place for this was the rental shop. Baby got in and out of the bunker quickly, getting some pieces and leaving, becoming a scrappy mess as she wandered into the world to continue killing for her father. Meanwhile, the other adventures in the bunker were much more interesting. Ennard sensed someone in the vents. The beast went towards the target. They didn't recognize him, but it was Henry, trying to learn all he could about William's experiment. Henry defended against Ennard as he was gathering parts and schematics when the vents opened and Henry saw something crawling towards him. It wasn't the tangle of wires and swords, no, it was him. Henry almost threw up when he saw his old friend, William Afton, crawling towards him. The two locked eyes as Henry saw the smiling, friendly man vanish into this cold, undead rabbit of his own creation, burnt with glowing human eyes. William slowly said his name, Henry. He crawled towards him fiercely, but Henry gave him a solemn, "I'm sorry," and shut the vent. William banged and banged as Henry went further down the shaft. William was fixed with emotions, but this wasn't the time. He'd get Henry just like he'd get Mike, but not now. No, he needed repairs. Henry continued to fight off Ennard, eventually leading the beast to a furnace and shutting it in. The beast howled as the fire burnt it. Henry was foolish. He pulled a mic and left too early. The beast escaped, its mask gone and now just being a pile of rubble. Henry knew better, but he also knew he had to get them all in one place. No, the plan wasn't ready yet. Ennard slinked away, literal molten dripping from him. They were more wild and structured at this point, putting on a burnt and damaged Funtime Freddy head and slinking off. Henry found what he was looking for, William's research into Remnant and how to stop it, intense heat. Mike had the right idea, but the wrong execution. Henry wasn't gonna make the same mistake. William also found what he was looking for. He so did love having hidden rooms. He slinked in, seeing all the spare spring body parts. He had to keep his baby clean, his suit, his home now. But something else was here, something William wasn't expecting. Gordon Freddy was limped in the corner. "Why did you get here?" William asked, but the suit didn't reply. William had a devilish smile. He knew he was in there. He knew Cassidy was watching. He was the one who caused him to this 30 years of suffering behind this damn back wall. But she couldn't finish the job. That weak brat Mike couldn't either. Henry could try, but he'd fail all the same. William always came back. Afton ripped into the suit. The suit screamed out, but William overpowered her again, just like the first time. He walked out different, still damaged but new, even snapping off his own limbs and useless arm, down to the bone. He stole the Golden Bear's snout and feet. He couldn't have that damn programming luring him away from those who dared try to destroy him. The only thing left to do was find him, find Michael. But what William didn't know, what he couldn't have conceived, was that this was all part of Cassidy's plan. Why do you think she moved herself here? She wanted Afton to take the part, because by so he merged with her. Cassidy wasn't done yet. She imprinted herself onto Afton, haunting him like Evan haunted Mike years ago.